I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel. Dr. Juniper Hayes had seen her share of strange specimens in her 15 years as a xenobiologist at the Galactic Research Institute, but nothing quite like this. Through the containment field's shimmer, a small creature peered up at her with eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies within them. Its fur wasn't just iridescent, it was crystalline, each strand catching light and refracting it into impossible colors that human eyes weren't meant to process. Dr. Hayes, the containment readings are unusual, her assistant, Dr. Rohan Patel, called from the monitoring station. His dark brows furrowed as he studied the holographic displays floating before him. The energy signatures don't match anything in our database. Juniper approached the field barrier, careful to maintain the recommended safe distance. The creature, superficially resembling an Earth kitten but clearly something far more exotic, tracked her movement with an unsettling intelligence. Its fur rippled like liquid starlight, and where its paws touched the ground, tiny distortions in space-time pulsed outward. "Where did you say you found it?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the specimen. "That's just it," Rohan replied, walking over to join her. "It appeared in Lab 7 during the quantum particle study, just materialized. Security footage shows a brief gravitational anomaly, then this little one was there." He paused, checking his tablet. "The weird thing is it didn't trigger any of our breach alarms. It's like the security systems don't even register its presence." The kitten tilted its head, and for a moment, Juniper could have sworn she felt a gentle brush against her consciousness, like a curious child reaching out to touch a stranger's hand. She instinctively reached back, not physically but mentally, and gasped as a flood of images cascaded through her mind. Vast crystal cities floating in the void between stars, beings of pure light tending to cosmic engines, and a sense of profound loss that made her heart ache. "It's trying to communicate," she whispered, pressing her hand against the containment field. The kitten mirrored her gesture, placing its paw exactly opposite her palm. Where they would have touched, if not for the barrier, reality itself seemed to bend slightly. "Dr. Hayes," Rohan's voice had taken on an edge of concern. "The containment field's molecular structure is becoming unstable. Whatever this creature is, it's affecting fundamental forces at the quantum level." Before Juniper could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the lab. Red warning lights pulsed as automated systems detected what they classified as a Class 1 reality distortion event. Security protocols activated, and heavy blast doors began sliding into place. "Security teams are en route," a synthetic voice announced. "All personnel must evacuate immediately. This is not a drill." The kitten's crystalline fur began to pulse with increasing intensity, and Juniper felt another touch against her mind, this time carrying a clear sensation of fear. She made a decision that would alter the course of her life forever. "Rohan, kill the containment field." "What but protocol?" Now, she had never used that tone with him before, and his surprise showed as his fingers automatically moved to comply. The field flickered and died just as the first security team burst through the far door, weapons drawn. The kitten leaped into Juniper's arms, its touch sending shivers of cosmic energy through her body. Where its paws met her skin, she felt reality flex and bend. The security team's leader, Commander Marcus Vale, raised his particle disruptor. "Dr. Hayes, step away from the anomaly," he ordered, his cybernetic eye glowing as it analyzed the situation. "That entity is classified as a potential threat to baseline reality." Juniper clutched the kitten closer, feeling its rapid heartbeat against her chest, so similar to an Earth cat's, yet somehow carrying the rhythm of stellar fusion within it. "It's just scared," she said, backing away. "It's alone and frightened. We need to help it, not treat it like a weapon." "That's not your decision to make," Marcus replied, his weapon charging with a high-pitched whine. "The Institute has protocols for dealing with reality-bending entities. Hand it over." The kitten trembled in Juniper's arms, its fur now blazing with internal light. She felt another mental touch, this time carrying something that felt like a question or perhaps a warning. Understanding bloomed in her mind. This creature wasn't just lost or scared. It was a guardian, part of something vast and ancient, and it had chosen her for a reason. "I'm sorry, Commander," she said, though her voice was steady. "I can't do that." The kitten's light intensified, and Juniper felt reality bend around them like a soap bubble stretching to its breaking point. The last thing she saw was Marcus's look of shock, as she and the kitten simply ceased to exist in that particular slice of space-time, leaving behind nothing but a shower of crystalline sparkles that hung in the air for a moment before winking out of existence. In that instant, Dr. Juniper Hayes went from being a respected xenobiologist to becoming something she had only read about in classified files, a reality fugitive. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, ancient powers stirred, awakening to the fact that one of their own had been found, and that a human had chosen to protect it, despite all logic and law. Reality snapped back into focus like an elastic band, depositing Juniper and the crystalline kitten in what appeared to be an abandoned research outpost on the outer rim of the Andromeda Galaxy. The familiar sight of outdated Institute equipment, covered in years of cosmic dust, surrounded them. Her head spun as she tried to process the fact that they had just traversed thousands of light years in an instant. The kitten leaped from her arms onto a defunct monitoring console, its crystalline fur dimming to a soft, starlit shimmer. As it moved, gravity seemed to ripple around it, causing loose objects to drift momentarily before settling back down. Juniper's scientific mind immediately began cataloging these anomalies, even as her rational side screamed about the impossibility of what she was witnessing. "You planned this, didn't you?" she asked the creature, which was now grooming itself with methodical precision. "You didn't just randomly appear in our lab." The kitten paused its grooming to give her a look that could only be described as smug. A holographic display sputtered to life nearby, making Juniper jump. The ancient system still had enough power to show her their location: Outpost Omega-17, one of the Institute's abandoned forward research stations. She remembered reading about it in old mission reports. The station had been mysteriously abandoned 15 years ago after a series of unexplained quantum anomalies. The kitten's mental touch came again, stronger this time. Images flooded her mind, the station in its prime, bustling with researchers who were studying something they didn't understand. A tier in reality, a doorway to somewhere else. And through that doorway, creatures of crystal and starlight, the kitten's people. "They were here," Juniper breathed. "Your species. This was a contact point." The kitten trilled in agreement, the sound resonating at frequencies that made the dust particles around them dance in complex patterns. Before she could process this revelation, a warning klaxon shattered the silence. The station's ancient systems had detected approaching vessels. Juniper rushed to the observation window, her heart sinking as she recognized the sleek, black ships of the Institute's Special Containment Division. "They're tracking your energy signature," she realized, turning to the kitten. "We need to—" She stopped mid-sentence as she saw what the creature was doing. It stood atop the console, its fur blazing with renewed intensity, patterns of light flowing across its crystalline surface like circuits carrying impossible data. The console beneath its paws began to power up, long-dormant systems awakening to its touch. The station's main screen flickered to life, displaying information in a language Juniper had never seen before, geometric patterns that seemed to move and shift even as she looked at them. The kitten's mental touch came again, this time accompanied by understanding. These were coordinates, but not to a place, to a frequency of reality itself. Outside, the Institute ships were moving into position, their containment fields starting to power up. Juniper felt a moment of doubt. Everything she had worked for her entire career was about to evaporate. Commander Vale's voice crackled over the station's old comm system. "Dr. Hayes, power down the station and surrender the anomaly. This is your final warning." The kitten looked at her, its galaxy-filled eyes seeming to peer into her soul. In that moment, Juniper understood that this wasn't just about protecting a lost creature. It was about something far larger. The kitten species weren't just animals. They were guardians of something fundamental to the universe itself. "What do you need me to do?" she asked, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. The kitten's response came as another flood of images. Ancient structures built between dimensions, bridges across realities, and a sense of purpose so vast it made her human concerns seem microscopic in comparison. The station systems continued to respond to the kitten's presence, panels lighting up with that same shifting geometric script. Through the window, Juniper could see the Institute ships charging their weapons. Time was running out. A new alarm blared. The station's quantum core, dormant for 15 years, was powering up. Energy readings spiked off the charts as reality itself began to bend around them. The kitten's fur was now so bright it hurt to look at directly, each crystal strand seeming to contain its own universe. "This is your last chance, Dr. Hayes," Commander Vale's voice came again, tinged with something that might have been concern. "Whatever that thing is, it's not worth throwing your life away." Juniper watched as the kitten began to weave something with its light, a pattern in space-time itself, a door to somewhere else. She thought about her years of research, her carefully built career, all the rules and protocols she had followed. Then she thought about the touch of the kitten's mind, the vastness of what it had shown her, and the choice it had given her. "You're wrong, Marcus," she replied, reaching out to touch the kitten's glowing fur. "Some things are worth any price." The pattern of light expanded, enveloping them both. The last thing she heard was the sound of the Institute's weapons firing, but the energy beams passed through empty space. Juniper Hayes and her impossible companion were already gone, riding a wave of crystalline light to another layer of reality, where the true nature of the kitten's mission would finally be revealed. Traveling through quantum space felt like being turned inside out, while simultaneously having every cell in your body scattered across 1,000 dimensions. When reality reasserted itself, Juniper found herself on her hands and knees, gasping for breath in an environment that defied conventional physics. They had emerged in what appeared to be a vast chamber, but its walls seemed to exist in multiple places at once, shifting and flowing like liquid mercury. The floor beneath her was solid yet somehow transparent, revealing swirling galaxies far below. Above, crystalline structures hung in impossible configurations, each one pulsing with the same kind of energy that emanated from her feline companion. The kitten padded forward, apparently unaffected by their interdimensional journey. Its crystalline fur had taken on new patterns, matching the geometric designs that flowed across the chamber's walls. As it moved, each step left momentary echoes in reality, like ripples in a cosmic pond. "Where are we?" Juniper asked, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. The kitten's response came as a series of mental impressions. This was a waypoint, a junction between realities where its kind had once maintained the fabric of existence itself. A deep thrumming sound filled the chamber, and Juniper watched in amazement as portions of the walls began to coalesce into distinct shapes. They formed into tall, crystalline beings that bore a striking resemblance to her small companion, if that companion had been stretched into a vaguely humanoid form and imbued with the light of dying stars. "The one who defies protocol has brought a human to the Nexus," one of the beings spoke, its voice resonating directly in Juniper's mind. "This has not happened since the Great Sundering." The kitten, the one who defies protocol, apparently, sat regally beside Juniper, its tail wrapping protectively around her ankle. She felt its encouragement through their mental link and found the courage to speak. "I'm Dr. Juniper Hayes. I chose to help protect this little one when others would have contained it." She straightened up, meeting the gaze of the crystalline beings. "Though I'm beginning to suspect there's much more going on than a simple case of an abandoned creature." The chamber filled with a sound like wind chimes in a quantum storm, laughter, she realized. The beings were amused. "Indeed," another one spoke. "The one you call Little One is a quantum weaver born to maintain the barriers between realities. When the Great Sundering came, many of our kind were lost, scattered across dimensions. This one was sent deliberately to find a human worthy of understanding." Before Juniper could process this revelation, alarms began resonating through the chamber. The crystalline beings shifted, their forms becoming more rigid. "The hunters approach," one announced. "They have followed your quantum wake." Holographic displays materialized around them, showing multiple Institute ships emerging from quantum space. But they weren't alone. Behind them, darker ships of unknown design slipped through the void like predators stalking prey. "The Void Seekers," a crystalline being hissed. "They who caused the sundering, they must not acquire a quantum weaver." Juniper watched in horror as the dark ships opened fire on the Institute vessels. Commander Vale's voice crackled through dimensional static. "Unknown entities, this is Commander Marcus Vale of the Galactic Research Institute. We are in pursuit of stolen property and a fugitive scientist." The response from the dark ships came in a language that made Juniper's teeth ache, but its meaning was clear enough as they launched another barrage of weapons that bent space itself. The Institute ships scattered, their containment fields barely holding against the assault. The Kitten, the quantum weaver, pressed against Juniper's leg, sharing another series of images. The Void Seekers were ancient enemies of its kind, beings that sought to unravel the very fabric of reality for their own inscrutable purposes. They had been pursuing the scattered quantum weavers across dimensions, destroying or corrupting any they caught. "Your Institute's pursuit has led them right to us," one of the crystalline beings stated, its tone carrying no accusation but heavy with implications. Juniper watched the battle unfolding in the void beyond their sanctuary. The Institute ships were outmatched, their weapons barely affecting the dark vessels. She saw Commander Vale's ship take a direct hit, its quantum shields flickering. "We have to help them," she said, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "Whatever your quarrel with the Institute, those are my people out there, and they don't stand a chance against these Void Seekers." The crystalline beings conferred in frequencies beyond human perception. The quantum weaver looked up at Juniper, its galaxy-filled eyes swirling with possibilities. Through their connection, she felt its question. Was she prepared for what helping would mean? There would be no going back to her old life, no returning to the comfortable world of research and protocols. An Institute ship exploded in a burst of quantum fire, its crew scattering into escape pods that the dark ships began targeting with methodical precision. Juniper's decision crystallized like a new star being born. "I already left that life behind when I chose to help you," she told the quantum weaver. "Now show me how we can save them." The chamber hummed with power as the crystalline beings moved into action. The quantum weaver's fur blazed with renewed intensity, and Juniper felt reality flex around them once again. But this time, instead of running, they were about to take the fight to an enemy that threatened not just humanity, but the very structure of existence itself. Juniper watched the approaching fleet, her merged consciousness calculating probabilities across multiple quantum states. The Weaver's knowledge showed her the devastating potential of what the Institute was about to unleash. Her human heart understood the fear driving them to make this catastrophic alliance. In that moment of clarity, their choice became obvious. Juniper and the Weaver moved as one, their merged form blazing with crystalline light. "The sanctuary will have to wait," she announced. "Everyone we love exists in this reality, human, Weaver, and everything in between. If we don't make a stand here, there won't be anything left to protect." The crystalline beings resonated with approval, their forms shifting into more combat-ready configurations. Juniper felt their power connecting with her own, amplifying the Weaver's abilities to new levels. Together, they began weaving a different kind of pattern, not just a defense against the Void Seekers, but a bridge of understanding between species. As the combined fleet approached, Juniper broadcast a message on all frequencies, her voice carrying the harmonics of quantum truth. "To all Institute ships, you're being used. The power you think you can control will consume everything you're trying to protect. But there's another way." She and the Weaver demonstrated, creating a display of pure quantum manipulation that showed both the beauty and responsibility of their art. Through their shared consciousness, they offered not weapons or power, but understanding, the true knowledge of how reality worked, and why it needed protection rather than exploitation. The battle that followed would be remembered across multiple dimensions, not for its destruction, but for its revelation. A human scientist and a quantum kitten merged into something entirely new, showing two vastly different species a path between chaos and control, between fear and understanding. And in the end, as reality stabilized and the Void Seekers retreated, Juniper and her Weaver knew they had chosen correctly. They would visit the sanctuary eventually, share their unique perspective with their kind. But for now, their place was here, guarding the boundaries between realities while building bridges between species. After all, some bonds, like the one between a curious scientist and a crystalline kitten, transcended the very fabric of existence itself. Power surged through the interdimensional chamber as the crystalline beings channeled their energy into the quantum weaver. Juniper watched in awe as her small companion's form began to shift, its crystalline fur elongating into graceful spires of light that pierced multiple layers of reality simultaneously. The transformation wasn't just physical. She could feel their mental connection deepening, becoming something more profound. "The merger has begun," one of the crystalline beings announced. "The human's quantum signature is harmonizing with the weaver's frequency." Juniper felt it happening, her consciousness expanding beyond the limitations of human perception. Through her connection with the quantum weaver, she could see the battle raging outside in its true form, not just ships firing weapons, but tears in the fabric of reality itself. The Void Seekers weren't just attacking the Institute vessels. They were trying to unravel the very threads that held space-time together. "I understand now," she whispered, watching patterns of cosmic energy flow through her hands like living light. "The quantum weavers don't just maintain reality, they're part of it, living threads in the universal tapestry." The weaver's response came not in images this time, but in pure understanding. Together, they could see the complex web of quantum strings that connected all things, could feel the damage the Void Seekers were inflicting on that delicate network. Each attack sent ripples through multiple dimensions, threatening to unravel the careful work of countless eons. Commander Vale's voice crackled through the quantum static again. "Main drives critical. All hands abandon." His transmission cut off as another reality-warping blast struck his ship. Juniper reached out instinctively, her newly enhanced consciousness connecting with the quantum weaver's power. Together, they stretched their influence across the void, wrapping quantum strings around the failing Institute ship like a protective cocoon. She felt the strain immediately. Holding reality stable against the Void Seeker's attacks was like trying to hold back an ocean with her bare hands. "The human's adaptation is remarkable," one of the crystalline beings observed. "But the strain will destroy her if she continues." "Then help us," Juniper gasped through clenched teeth, maintaining her hold on the protective field around Vale's ship. "You say you're guardians of reality, prove it." The chamber resonated with energy as the crystalline beings moved into action. They flowed around Juniper and the quantum weaver like living mercury, their forms merging into a complex geometric pattern that spanned multiple dimensions. Power surged through the pattern, amplifying the weaver's abilities far beyond what it could achieve alone. Through their shared consciousness, Juniper directed this enhanced power with surgical precision. She could see the quantum wake trails of the escape pods, could feel the terrified life signs of the Institute crews within them. With a thought, she extended their protective field, gathering the scattered pods into safety. The Void Seekers responded with overwhelming force. Their ships transformed, revealing their true nature, not vessels at all, but enormous entities of anti-reality, beings that existed by consuming the very fabric of existence. They launched an assault that bent space itself into impossible shapes, their weapons designed to unravel the quantum strings that held the universe together. But Juniper had seen enough. Drawing on her scientific knowledge and the Weaver's cosmic understanding, she began to weave a counterpattern. Where the Void Seekers created chaos, she imposed order. Where they sought to unravel, she reinforced. The crystalline being's power flowed through her like a river of stars, turning her improvisations into reality. "Impossible," one of the Void Seekers spoke, its voice a discord that made nearby stars flicker. "A human cannot wield the art." "Watch me," Juniper replied through gritted teeth. She and the quantum weaver moved as one, their combined consciousness reaching out to grasp the very threads of space-time. With a motion that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, they pulled. Reality bent, twisted, and then snapped back into place with devastating force. The Void Seekers' ships were caught in the rebound, their anti-reality nature working against them as the universe itself rejected their presence. They were thrown back, their forms distorting as they struggled to maintain coherence in a reality that suddenly refused to acknowledge their existence. But the victory came at a cost. Juniper felt herself slipping, her human consciousness threatening to fragment under the strain of wielding such power. The quantum weaver pressed closer, its crystalline form partially merging with her own as it tried to stabilize her quantum signature. "The binding cannot be undone," one of the crystalline beings warned. "The human and the weaver, their signatures have become entangled. They are now one entity existing in multiple states." Through the haze of cosmic power and quantum mathematics, Juniper managed to focus on the immediate threat. The Void Seekers were retreating but not defeated. She could feel them regrouping, preparing for another assault. And this time, they would be ready for her tricks. The Institute ships hung in space, their crews safe but badly shaken. Through their quantum link, Juniper could sense Commander Vale's mix of confusion, fear, and awe. He had just witnessed something that completely shattered his understanding of reality and of her. "We need to get these ships to safety," she said, her voice resonating with new harmonics. And then, she looked down at her hands, which now shimmered with the same crystalline properties as the weaver's fur. "Then you need to tell me exactly what I've become." In the aftermath of the battle, the interdimensional chamber had transformed. Quantum energies swirled around Juniper and the weaver like auroras, their merged consciousness creating patterns that reflected both human analytical precision and cosmic instinct. The Institute ships had been safely escorted to a stable dimension, their crews still processing the reality-bending events they had witnessed. Juniper examined her transformed self with a scientist's curiosity. Her body existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, shifting between solid form and crystalline energy. The weaver, still maintaining its kitten-like appearance, was now permanently connected to her, two consciousness sharing one quantum signature. "What you have become," one of the crystalline beings explained, "has no precedent. A human quantum signature merged with a weaver's essence. You are neither fully human nor fully weaver, but something new." Through their shared consciousness, Juniper and the weaver explored their new capabilities. They could perceive the quantum strings that held reality together, could feel the pulse of existence itself flowing through multiple dimensions. But they could also feel the damage the Void Seekers had inflicted on the cosmic web, tears in reality that threatened to spread if left unrepaired. "The Void Seekers will return," another crystalline being warned. "They will not stop until they have unraveled all of existence or are permanently defeated, and now they will hunt you with even greater determination." Commander Vale's voice came through their quantum link, tentative but determined. "Dr. Hayes, Juniper, whatever you've become, the Institute needs to understand what's happening. We can help protect you, study this transformation." "To contain it," Juniper replied, her voice carrying harmonics that made quantum particles dance. "To weaponize it, Marcus, look at what the Void Seekers nearly did with their understanding of reality manipulation. Some knowledge isn't meant to be controlled or replicated." The weaver shared images of previous civilizations that had tried to harness quantum manipulation powers, showing the catastrophic results of their hubris. Entire galaxies had been unwritten from existence, dimensions collapsed, and countless lives lost. Through their connection, Juniper felt the weaver's true purpose becoming clear. Its kind hadn't just been guardians, they were the immune system of reality itself, maintaining the delicate balance between order and chaos. And now she was part of that ancient mandate. A distant alarm echoed through multiple dimensions. More Void Seeker ships were emerging from the quantum void, their anti-reality signatures causing nearby stars to flicker and dim. But this time, they weren't alone. Massive Institute warships accompanied them, their weapons powered by salvaged quantum technology. "They're working together," Juniper realized with horror. "The Institute thinks they can control the Void Seeker's power." Crystalline beings moved with urgent purpose, their forms flowing into battle formations. "The choice before you is clear," one said. "There is a sanctuary, a dimension where the remaining weavers gather. You would be safe there, protected while you learn to fully control your new abilities." Juniper felt the weaver's eagerness at the thought of rejoining its kind, but also its reluctance to abandon humanity to its fate. Their shared consciousness wrestled with the implications. retreat to safety, and let events unfold or stay and fight for both humanity and reality itself. Through their quantum link, they could feel the Institute ships powering up weapons that never should have existed. The Void Seekers were feeding them knowledge, each piece of shared technology creating new tiers in the fabric of space-time. Your human consciousness makes you unique, a crystalline being observed. You see patterns we cannot, understand perspectives we have forgotten.